Hi, my name is Jaden, and I am going to be talking about the important aspect of communications and relationships, how understanding context, emotion, and active listening can really help strengthen the bond between two people. I'll be using a scenario with a couple named Emma and Jake to highlight the challenges that can come up with when these elements aren't fully understood. Emma and Jake have been facing communication issues because Emma comes from a family where emotional expression is encouraged, and she's used to sharing her feelings openly all the time. And Jake, on the other hand, was raised in a family where emotions were more reserved and they didn't really talk about them much. Because of this, Emma feels that Jake is emotionally distant and he doesn't immediately respond to her concerns, which leaves her feeling unsupported a lot. Meanwhile, Jake feels like he needs time to process things, and he doesn't realize that the silence is making Emma feel disconnected. So first, in order to bridge this gap, we need to consider the role of context in communication. This means understanding how our background, like our families, culture, and even personality, can affect this and shapes how we express ourselves. In Emma's case, she is used to openly talking about emotions, and for Jake, this is a bit uncomfortable for him. The difference in communication style is rooted from their families, cultures, and personalities. It's not that Jake doesn't care about Emma's feelings, but he just processes emotions differently. This is where understanding context is key because both partners need to recognize how their own communication habits are influenced by their backgrounds. Emma needs to understand that Jake's silence isn't him ignoring her, and Jake needs to recognize that Emma needs emotional engagement to feel validated. So the first step would be to talk about these differences openly. Now let's talk about emotion. In relationships, it's essential to express how we feel, but it's just as important to do so in a way that's respectful to our partner. Emma's frustration is definitely valid. She wants to feel heard, but it's also important that she communicates this in a way that doesn't push Jake farther away. Instead of saying something like, "You never listen to me," she could say, "I feel unsupported when you don't respond to me right away." This approach can allow her to share her feelings in a better way. Jake, on the other hand, needs to acknowledge Emma's emotion more actively. Even if he's not ready to respond, he can still show he's listening by saying something like, "I hear you and I'm still processing this. Let's talk more in a bit." It's about creating space for both partners to feel heard and respected. Finally, we can discuss active listening. This is when both people in the relationship, in the conversation, are fully engaged with what the other person is saying. For Jake, active listening means not just staying quiet and thinking, but also giving Emma signals that he's engaged, whether that's nodding or making eye contact or even saying something like, "I understand what you're saying and I understand you're feeling frustrated." This shows that he's not ignoring her, and even if he's not ready to give a full response. For Emma, it's important to give Jake space when he needs it. She should listen to his body language and verbal cues and avoid pushing him for an immediate answer. By practicing active listening, they can both feel more connected and understood within the relationship. So to wrap things up, understanding the role of context, emotional expression, and active listening can really make a difference in a relationship. Emma and Jake can strengthen their connection by openly discussing their communication styles, expressing emotion in a way that will consider each other's needs, and practicing active listening so they can show that they truly care for each other's feelings. Relationships are all about understanding and compromise, and with patience, Emma and Jake can create a stronger and more supportive relationship. I hope this advice helps if you're facing a similar situation in your own relationship. Remember that communication is key, and being empathetic and open to each other's backgrounds and feelings. And by doing so, you can overcome these challenges. Thank you for watching, and feel free to comment or ask questions below. Bye!